And welcome to another episode of the EmpowerMAN podcast. Brought to you by, yes, Dunkin' Donuts, where this EmpowerMAN runs on Dunkin'. And that EmpowerMAN that I am looking at today is quite an individual, folks. He once told Taylor Swift to just shake it off. He puts the salt in salt and pepper.
Yes.
He was the inspiration behind that song, and they say he's just a friend. Oh, baby, Greg's got what you need. And they say he's just a friend. He is too sexy for his own darn camera. He is the patriot, the parent, the family man, the champion of the Second Amendment. But more importantly, he taught Chrissy Nome how to ride a horse. He's also the man that once said, hey, pretty lady, save a horse, ride a cowboy. And the cowboy I'm looking at right now is Greg A. Tedora, the Italian cowboy, numero uno. Not to be confused with Dominic the donkey. He is Greg the cowboy. Greg A. Tedora, numero uno. Greggy T, happy Thursday. How the heck are you?
How you doing? Great intro as always. Some facts, some fiction, some left to the imagination. So figure it out, people.
I gotta tell you, with this cabinet, my imagination runs pretty wild.
Yeah.
Don't leave me home alone with a good time. Let me tell you something.
Mm-hmm.
Yee. And I think, if anything, as we recap the week, we have seen a clear line between what is good and what is evil. I saw it. I don't know if anyone else out there saw it, but it is just amazing to me. And this is a very serious statement, what I'm about to say. If there's anybody out there that votes Democrat, that loves being a Democrat, I would invite you to message us and just give us your perspective so I can understand you better, how you vote for that party. Because that is like, I was embarrassed for them with them holding their signs up, the one congressman making a scene. Could you imagine if we were at work and we just, like, the manager's talking and we're just holding up signs like, yeah, like, some profanity and some stuff like that. I mean, I don't know. I mean,
Well,
I'm not
I
surprised at people
agree. It
anymore,
was
Greg.
it just I'm not surprised. I've seen the decline of just overall respect. Listen, everyone knows how you feel about things politically. Everyone knows that I hate politics. I hate politicians. I think they're all full of shit, whatever. But people vote the way they vote because maybe they stick to an issue. All good. I don't care. But there is a way to go about things traditionally. And I'm not such a old school type of guy, but there are certain traditions, I think, especially when it comes to the respect of hearing people in an event that serious at that level, time and place. Time and place. And I think it was like very cringy. It was not professional. It was distracting and just once again more polarizing, which is what they want. And I think both sides want that, to be honest with you. And I think it was disgusting, the lack of respect, regardless if you like the man or not, if you like what he's saying or not, that doesn't matter. You don't do that no matter who's in power. I don't care who's in power. You just don't do that. And he also did it today when they were voting whether to censor him or not. They all started singing. Listen, the world's looking, and a country that has their leaders singing on the floor of Congress, sorry, that looks weak. And people and nations, especially our enemies, prey upon the weak. And we look pretty weak right now, singing like a bunch of assholes instead of actually just doing the proper chains, the proper way to go about things, regardless of who you vote for. I don't care who you vote for, because everyone has a topic or an issue or a concern that they're very passionate about. Cool. That's what makes this country cool. But the louder you shout, the louder you use profanity, and I'm all for profanity. We all know that. But there's a time and place, and I just think it doesn't look good. It definitely doesn't help your cause, and it makes people, it gives them more ammo to go against you. Instead of bringing people in, You're just keeping the people you already have and literally shunning people that might be on the fence. So now you lost potential people that actually might come to your side because of your issues. They don't like the way you handle things. I'm not trying to help the Democrats at all. I'm not trying to help any politician. However, you hurt your own cause by doing that. And you're causing, there's already internal turmoil, whatever you want to call it, but you're not helping your case with these dinosaurs that are cursing, singing, doing all. You guys look crazy, and you're giving people validity in their feelings towards you, and you're just casting yourself farther and farther away. And if you're trying to get people, because you now are going to be up for votes again, you got to vote. And now people that have voted a certain way might not like what just happened. Now you lost them. It's not good. It's not good. In my opinion, they should clean house and change their narrative. But like I said, I'm not trying to help them, but you're hurting your own cause, which in turn hurts America, hurts Americans, hurts everyone's all for the everyday American. No, they're not. They're out there for themselves. The quicker people wake up to that, the better. So it's like we have spoken about this before. These local elections are just getting more and more important, more and more important. And I want to say shame on the city of Boston for voting in a mayor like that. That city's awesome. I love Boston. I know you do too. We know a lot of people there, friends, have had good times in that city. Shame on them for voting a piece of shit like that in. She needs to go.
Yeah.
Good morning, Mike.
Hey, and you know what? And along those lines, I won't use your words, but I'll use your rhetoric. Shame on Chicago too, because Chicago is an awesome city,
Of course.
awesome city, and I mean, and to see the decline in that city, and even New York, I don't know, that much about it anymore, but it looks like maybe Eric Adams is starting to shift his I guess which way the wind blows, or if there's I don't know. With now you got Andrew Cuomo.
That's your
Who's
boy.
yeah, it's my boy. No, wait a second. Wait a second. Emmy Award winner.
Sorry, you're right. Good
Andrew
correction.
Cuomo. The only thing they got to bring back is Anthony Weiner. They got to bring this guy back. He's got to
Where's
make a
he
comeback.
been, man?
I don't know, but you know what, man? That guy is kind of like the original. He's like the OG.
Yeah.
He's like, if anyone deserves a comeback, it's him, because he's paid his debt to society.
And getting back to the theatrics of the other night and today as well, and what's going on down in DC, they all want to just go viral, and they all want their time in front of the camera, and they all want to be put on like MSNBC and all these other networks for their 3 minutes of fame. That's all they're doing now, and it's just diluting the power that they have.
Oh yeah.
And that they should have, and it should just be held with respect. You can respectfully disagree with somebody's opinion or views. You and I don't. We're closest of friends. We don't agree on everything, but that doesn't make us skip a beat. It's. I know friends that are polar opposites on political belief. Best friends, families are cool. That's how it should be.
That's what it should be.
And it's just they all just want their 5 minutes of fame. And just I just think everything media, the big media, all needs a reboot. It does. All these people got to go. And I think people are getting sick of them.
Well, I think you'll see. Let's hope that when they go for the elections in the next couple of years for the House, that more Democrats get ousted. And I'm saying that flat out, get rid of them, because I mean, I can't articulate how. I wouldn't say stupid's a strong word, but I mean, they just look unintelligent. They look completely. If you're a parent and you're watching this, it's almost like you're saying, it's okay. You didn't get your way. You're not getting what you want. So therefore, take your sand toys out of the sandbox and go play by yourself. We were always taught, I may not like you, but if I got a job to do, I'm going to work with you. It's like there are guys I wrestled that I may not have liked, but I always protected them, looked out for them, and worked for the better of the match. I did what I had to do, and then I left. And you know what? All you had to do was just stand up, even if you didn't like it. Just Like all, and you know what? It just made Trump look so much better because he extended his hand and said, "Listen, for one night, let's just unify. Let's work together to make America great again." And you know what? Let's hope the voters don't forget that they didn't stand, they didn't acknowledge it. They sat there on their phones. This woman with purple hair, she's short. She looks like,
She's like the lead singer of Porno for Pyros.
yeah, I remember Porno for Pyros. Wow, that's an old band. Wow,
Yeah, man.
that's a great call, by the way.
Looks just like him.
That's a great call, by the way.
Sorry for him.
Wow. But I like when he called Elizabeth Warren Pocahontas. That was awesome.
It's just
That was
all
great.
ugly. It's just not
Yeah.
professional. And it's, I have friends that are deployed, and I just spoke to one the other day, and I get nervous for them. And granted, he's awesome. I grew up with him. I've known him since I was 8. Shout out to Jason. I'm not going to say his last name because of what he does. And in and out of the Pentagon, he's now over off the coast of Australia, I think, somewhere out there. And it makes me nervous for them because there's a lot of areas. You have the Ukraine, you have China, posturing, all that. And people don't understand tariffs. Like you said the other day, they don't understand what that word is. And it's okay for us to get crushed on the international stage. But when we just do the equivalent, we're not even upping it. We're just going to say, all right, well, you times us by 5, we'll times you by 5. Now, all of a sudden, they have a problem with that. Listen, I'm not okay with that, but I know certain people aren't either. It's just there's a lot of areas that are potentially could boil over if we don't watch it. And we're too busy here singing in front of Congress like a bunch of little kids. And yes, you and I grew up. No matter who's in office, you respect it, even though you don't agree or vote for them. The whole saying, that's not my president, I'm sorry, that's wrong to say that. They are your president, whether you voted for them or not. And it's important people lost sight of that. That's the whole opportunity to vote.
Well, and I agree with you. And I think what's happening, and you mentioned it earlier on, a lot of these legacy media outlets, by the end of this decade, they're going to be like reduced to very little. And I think more and more people are going to be going to podcasters, independent news affiliates that will just express the views, probably with their narrative on it. Like, we both love Megyn Kelly. I think her podcast is awesome. She's really good. I mean, I like Tucker. I haven't listened to really because I don't have the attention span for it. I get snippets of it, but I think more people are going to be inclined to go towards independent outlets instead of the legacy media because there's such a bias around it.
Yeah.
I mean, how could that one woman, Nicole Wallace, the way she, degraded that whole moment with that young kid that was, he had like 12 brain surgeries.
Something
and
like that.
That's crazy. And his personality is altered because of all the surgery. And you can't stand up and acknowledge that. Or how about they were all wearing pink, but yet when they acknowledged Lake and Riley and they acknowledged that other woman whose daughter was murdered by that illegal, they didn't stand or nothing. How about the fact, and voters don't forget this, 45 Democratic senators voted against keeping men out of women's sports. 45. That's what most of the Senate. So you think about that next time you're all for women's rights and they say how much they love women. Well, they must not love them that much if they feel that men should play in women's sports. So if that's the case, then I'm going to go play in the, not at my phase of life because they'd probably kick my rear
We
end.
would dominate no matter where we go. I don't care what sport. It's all a show, and it's a bad show, and the kids and the public are suffering for it. But they don't care about that. They just want to be reelected and get their power and their money, which whatever. It's just not good.
No, it's not. And let's hope, it's just a start, but let's hope in the next 4 years, by the time it's all said and done, some civility and some peace will come out of this. And again, anybody DM us, leave us a comment. If you can explain to me personally how, or Greg, your thought process and your rationale behind voting Democrat, I'd love to hear it. And I just mean that with all sincerity and respect. Speaking of sincerity and respect, Greggy T, it's that time of EmpowerMAN where we give a shout out to our men and women in blue, our policemen and women, our firefighters, men and women, our first responders, our EMTs. Thank you for always keeping our local communities, cities, and municipalities safe and sound.
Absolutely. Thank you to all the military personnel here and overseas. Stay safe, watch your back, and we are very grateful for each and every one of you. And if you see a vet, thank them for their service.
Always.
And just be nice.
Always. Always. And Greggy T, today's topic, quite interesting. You know, I was having my 10th cup of coffee yesterday. My heart was palpitating and I had sweat coming out of every orifice. And I'm thinking to myself, well, like, I'm home, I'm doing work. I just feel like, you know what? When I'm home, I'm going to go grab a coffee because I love the smell. And of course, we like Cafe Bustelo.
Yes.
We
Nothing wrong with that.
We love Cafe Bustelo.
Thank you.
I enjoy a nice Pete's House blend.
Yes, you do.
I like to grind my beans. I also like coffee from Baltimore. Shout out to Zeke's Coffee in Baltimore, Maryland. They make phenomenal coffee. And there's actually a great coffee roastery in Albuquerque, New Mexico called Slow Burn. Yeah, Slow Burn. That coffee is phenomenal too. And once in a while, I'll dabble. I'll get online. I'll make the order. I'll dabble, get it sent in. You know, obviously first class, mail. I want to make sure I have a few armored guards with the coffee because I don't trust, they got to come with the guns. And it's like getting money out of a safe. But anyway, Greggy T, let's get right to it.
Let's do it.
Scarcity versus sufficient mindset. I like the S's in the enunciation of today's topic.
Wow.
Which is why I
the punctuation is just phenomenal.
Scarcity versus sufficient. Like right now, I am sufficiently caffeinated, but the coffee is scarce. Which means
by the way, Dunkin' Donuts sucks.
Oh, come on. Kidding me?
Listen. Send all your stuff to Mike. I don't want it.
Yes. Send me.
I don't want it.
Don't want it. And you can send me those coffee rolls too, because on Sunday, they're phenomenal. Like every Sunday, I get a coffee roll. Hell yeah. Love it. Love it. Greggy T.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to broach you with this. Broach. Big word.
Whoa,
broach.
Damn, you are on fire today. Jesus. The clarity. My God. Amazing.
Duncan helps release
it ain't. No.
my neurotransmitters.
Stop.
Love it. Greggy T.
Yeah.
Scarcity versus sufficient mindset. What thoughts immediately come to your head?
A couple. The immediate thoughts are want and need, which I'll get into. I was taught that by my parents. And also the immediate, if you're scarce, how it can lead to a lot of negative thoughts and you can get into a spiral in the wrong direction if you keep focusing on scarcity. That's those two things came immediately into my head when you said that. And also, obviously, with sufficient, there's two, you can lose it overnight or build it and keep going. So all those things come into my head.
And where do you think our first thoughts or our first images like come from? When I think of scarcity, I think of not having enough. I feel like there's no food in my home. We're running low on gas, or we have a few $100s in our savings account, or sufficient where it's like, yeah, like I'm pretty caffeinated, but darn well I could go for another one. Or I have an abundance of food, or I have where do you think those, when we look back at our life and where we are now, and we look at how we perceive things, where are those first images of scarcity and where are those first images of being sufficient formulated?
It's a good question. I think the initial is for me when I look back as a kid growing up. And then the second phase is when you're first pretty much truly on your own. Two different worlds for a lot of people, not everybody, but when you're a kid, you see certain things, you're exposed to certain things, and whether it's food or snacks or I don't know. And then you can see if you open the pantry or whatever, literally you'll see scarcity or you're good. And I think you see that, and you don't necessarily know that when you're younger. You start knowing it when you see less and less. Then it starts registering. And then I think of, when you're first come into your own, young man, young woman. And like you and I, when we were early 20s, we did pretty well. Were we good with our money? No, definitely not. That was dumb. That's when the sufficient starts to blind you into making bad purchases and overextending yourself. And that's a whole other thing. And credit cards start sending you things that you just don't deserve. And sure, let's go to Miami. Sure, let's get another motorcycle, like whatever. So it's a slippery slope. I also think part of that is designed that way when we're older. But that's what first comes into my head. What about you?
Well, yeah, I think of growing up. I think of what you witness as a child and how that can kind of like, I think we've talked about this. Most kids, most patterns usually formulate. If I'm wrong, someone out there, please correct me. From ages 2 to 7 is where you really start laying that foundation down
Mm-hmm.
for, you know, belief systems, but also moving forward.
Yeah.
When you look at, you know, when you look at anger, when you look at certain like
Ooh.
fear, anxiety,
Ooh.
and I just speak based on experience, like fear.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I think I've said this in the past. Certain situations, you have one that will control with fear, one that will control with anger, but together it's a horrible mix. And
Yeah.
me personally, I spent now 46 years trying to figure out how to unravel that. And then, it never really goes away. It's not like, oh, I took this, I'm healed. It's constant work. And we talked about putting the work in prior episodes. And for those that are new to EmpowerMan, please, we encourage you to go back and listen to our library. We have so much great stuff, and we'll reference stuff that we've done in the past,
Mm-hmm.
but we want to make sure that we kind of bring the past and the present together. You got to put the work in. If you grew up in a scarcity mindset, you have to be around people that are successful. You have to be around people that balance a budget. I know I've been around that. I've been so lucky to be around good people, but it didn't click for me until, and I'm going to put a shout out to this, and I got this for you while you were still attached.
Mm.
Dave Ramsey's Financial Peace University. That thing was a game changer for me. So now the mistakes that I've made and continue to make, in fact, I didn't tell you this one, but I'm going to put it on air. I put my name in for the lottery for Miami Dolphins season tickets. Now, do I need Miami Dolphins season tickets? No, I don't, but they're pretty much giving them away. And I'm like, wow,
Because they
I could go to
suck.
8 games. Right. But it's a fun time. But am I going to do it? Probably not, because it's not fiscally responsible. Do I want it? And this goes back to what you mentioned earlier, want
Mm-hmm.
versus need. Do I want it? Sure. Do I need it? No.
Yeah,
So again, you have to weigh that out. But to get back on track, I figured you like that one.
I do.
Um,
Brings me
I
back
think
to when I got the call about the Boston Celtics season tickets.
7,000 like that. Brand new Chase MasterCard. Done. Yup. I was hammered when I got them too.
But yes, I remember that too. But you used them. It's all good.
I did. I had a great time.
Yeah.
And we talked about Boston real quick because I have ADD. Sorry, listeners. I do. I'll go over the place. I used to leave Manhattan at noon. I used to get to
Yep.
Boston by 4. And I used to go shout out. If you're hearing this in Boston, let's hope you are. The greatest bar. It's right across from the TD Garden. It's like 4 floors. I used to get my steak frites, my French fries, and I used to have 2 Molsons. It was the only bar that I found that served Molson Canadian. I used to love Molson. My friend used to go to Montreal and bring back a case of Molson Triple X from when we were younger, and that had like so
Yeah.
much alcohol. Like you had like 2 of them and you were done. But I love Molson beer. And then I would drive. I'd go to the game, and then I'd go grab a Dunkin' Donuts,
Mm-hmm.
and I'd drive back and get back to New York by 2. Drop the rental car off at 8. Be at work by
Be at
8:30.
work. Yeah. Yep. Yep.
Anyhow, but when I think of scarcity, to go back, it's like looking at patterns of fear.
Yeah.
Like when you watch maybe, one of your parents roll pennies or quarters or nickels or dimes to make sure you have it, or, it's
Mhm.
how you grew up. And I think it's
Yeah.
important to make sure that you recognize that and you find ways to break the chains. Dave Ramsey worked for me. I had a lot of friends in finance. I didn't listen until I was ready. And you got to be ready to
Everyone's different.
change. Yeah.
Yeah. Everyone's different for that.
Let me throw this one at you, Greg. When you look at society, we talked a lot about politics early on in this episode today. When you look at society and you look at what's going on in the world,
Mhm.
and I'll throw a little flashback at you. Germany post World War One, hypoinflation occurred
Mhm.
where it was like, I don't know, I'm exaggerating, 30,000 rubles for like a loaf of bread.
Mhm.
Prices were, and that's how Hitler kind of rose to power. I know not people use Hitler's name like they know what they're talking about, but here's a reference where Hitler actually rose to power because after World War One and Germany was defeated, the inflation, the hypoinflation was so bad that he was able to manipulate that situation to kind of get that meteoric rise to power. Man, if that's right or not. But
It's mostly accurate. Yeah, I just saw something last week on it. So you're right there. There was a
shout out to
power
St.
vacuum. He used that because socialist communism was in there as
Of
well,
course.
and he
Yeah.
used that to get rid of them and got his way into power, and then just crushed it after that. So
Crushed it after that.
yeah.
And that's shout out to St. John's University. Actually, they're ranked seventh. They're ranked sixth in the country now, but that's another topic. How do you think society plays a role in having a scarcity versus a sufficient mindset?
Nowadays, I think it's just all social media optics. I think everyone wants to have the abundance or the sufficient category, even if they don't, but they have to put on the show that they do, or else they're outcasted or looked at different because wherever you turn, there's just abundance everywhere. When you and I know, and most other people, that it's mostly fake, false, and it's literally just made for the gram and it's all bullshit. But the younger kids don't really connect the dots yet because they don't have real world experience or
Right.
solo experience on their own. So they take that as Bible. They think it's real. And oh, look, this 17-year-old has like 3 Bugattis and 2 houses. Like they're rented for the day. They're rented for a couple
Right.
days to have a
Right.
photo
Right.
shoot. Like, and then they use it to make money. That's a different thing. But they look at it as everything is real when it's not. And then, but then they see all the theatrics play out in politics. It's just a bad play that's going on right now in all facets, from media to the government to social media down to the schools and the propaganda and all the things that the kids see and are taught and are not taught. It's just a bad pool right now. And I think it skews their reality of, scarcity versus, abundance or sufficient. And like it's hard. My kids are young, and whether you're in 2 households, 1 household, whatever, it's very hard not to spoil your kids. Everybody wants to spoil their kids. I don't care if you make 20 grand a year or 200 million a year. Everybody wants to give their kids more than what they had, and whatever. It's hard. It's not hard. You make it as hard as you want, where they have to understand every time we go to this store, you don't get something automatically. They love the stuffies at CVS, the little like stuffies. So they think every time we go there, whether we're getting toothpaste or toothbrushes or bullshit things, I want a stuffy. I want a stuff. If we got a thing every time, if you got a stuffy every time we went, you'd have 500 stuffies. I'm not doing that. And they get upset, and it sucks to see them like that. But you hold the line, and you're building in them that you don't just get something to get it. You got to earn it. I go, would you like another stuffy? Continue to be a good girl, and we'll talk about it next time. And you give them incentives in acting properly, use their manners, whatever. Be good in school, be a good big sister, be a good little sister, whatever it is, and use it to your advantage. Another thing is in the category of food and snacks. Everything's a snack. I want a snack. I want a snack. If you don't finish your snack, I'm not buying it again. That's the new rule in my house because I've got it down almost perfect where we do not waste any food. We all know food's expensive. And when you have kids and stuff, it's a joke how expensive it is every trip you go there. And I want these bars, these healthy like bars that they eat. Okay. So I've been noticing they'll eat 3/4 of it. And I'm like, all right, finish your bar. No, I'm full. But can I have something else? And I'm like, So now it's like, all right, daddy's not buying the bars anymore. Wait, what? What do you mean? We love them. I'm like, I know you love them, but you never finish them. We're not wasting food anymore. Now it's been a long time doing this. And now they're repeating, like, let's not waste food. Let's not. And they eat usually what's on their plate, thank God, which, is the whole goal of everything because it's teaching them in a
Exactly.
back way, respecting what you have, eating everything you have, because you know what? Some kids don't have anything. Some kids don't have a snack. Some kids don't even have a meal. Some kids don't
Amen.
have shit. They don't know that because they're around other kids that have things in school or whatever, and they don't understand. And who knows what's being taught in that household? I don't really care. But what I care about is their perception of what's real, and you got to earn it, respect it, and finish it all. And it's harsh nowadays with the helicopter parenting and all the lack of parenting that's going on out there. But that's how I was taught. I'm going to pass that down to them, where you do not take advantage and you're grateful. I keep telling, be grateful for what you have. Grateful, grateful. I keep saying that word so they understand you don't always get a treat. We don't always go to the bakery, every Saturday. We go if you've earned it. If you earn it, I'll take you there all the time. No problem. I would love nothing more than to do that. You got to earn it. And then they're like, if I say no, we're not going, they get upset. And I'm like, well, do you know why? Now they're starting to be like, well, yeah, I didn't listen or I did that. I'm like, there you go. Change that and we'll discuss it down the road. And then we can go if you continue to be good. It's hard for a little kid, but these small lessons, I think, will help them when they're older. Try to be savers, not spenders, or just, be good with money, because this will correlate to money as they get older. And I'm trying to teach they both have piggy banks. And, they're almost filled. And the whole goal of it is when it's filled, we're going to take it all out, count it. I'll double it. I'll match it. And we can go to the store and you can get whatever you want. I don't care what it is. So that's teaching them certain things. But, you can just get a money tree also. They're online and, put a little miracle grow in that thing.
Right. I heard that was your favorite type of tree.
It is. You just water and shake it.
Did you? That's some pretty darn good parenting. Did you take a class on parenting?
Maybe I didn't. I plead the fifth on that.
Greg A.
I
Tedora
did
the
take a
first.
class.
You're a good man.
It's called Common Fucking Sense. That's the class I took. Thanks, Mom and Dad.
Yo, shout out.
Mhm.
And I will further validate
Mhm.
that because for years you taught me, and God rest his soul, we love him very much, Freddie T, the envelope system.
Yeah,
And folks, that
it
lasted
works.
with me about
It
10
works.
minutes.
I know,
But
but it works.
it works. And that was because I wasn't ready to change my ways. And you
That's all.
have to be ready to change,
Mhm.
And I've had friends, my friends in finance that would teach me about interest. Interest. I didn't care about interest.
Yeah.
Whatever. Whatever. Miami Dolphins season tickets? Yeah, go $6,000. Just swipe the card at 20% interest.
At the low 20%. At the low end.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, I don't read much about interest rates either. At least I didn't before. But
Yeah.
Greg, you have made excellent, amazing points. And I think that is, and I think one day what we should do is kind of have have a discussion on parenting. Because you've also made some great points in the past about helicopter parenting, about how,
Yeah.
medications are now replacing the way we're raising our children. And it is so important. Like I see young men and women at my church that grow up to be these rock star kids. And
Yeah.
I'm like, holy smokes. Like that, the church was their vehicle that helped them get, what I mean? So that was their
Mhm.
foundation. But
Mhm.
it's also important too, while some people may not have the church, to have a solid parental foundation, and how important that is to have
Yeah.
that. And it's obvious in your discussions and your, explanations. and your nomenclature, that you have provided a great foundation for your children at such an early age.
Yeah.
Because let's be real, most girls tend to go after people or date people that are like their fathers. And I think in some weird ways, guys tend to go after or date or try to, latch on to women that remind them of their mothers a little bit. At least, in some weird ways. And there's some subconscious thing going on, but you have been able to provide a great foundation for your children. And I
Thank you.
think when it talks about scarcity versus, and I'm not just saying that either, scarcity versus sufficient mindset, having that strong parental foundation, having building roots,
Yeah.
like you always say, keeping your house in order. But, in your children's house, they have a solid foundation, and they'll know that it's not a scarcity, but it's more a place of gratitude.
Yeah,
That's the thing.
100%. And I think starting young, and I think starting some of the traditional values that I was taught, just a nice foundation of you're safe, you can come here, you can talk about things. And a lot of parents, especially here in the Northeast, just, buy their kids whatever they want and just push them off. Like, go to camp all the time and do this all the time. They don't want to parent. And you're not giving them that foundation of just what it's like to, this is going to be harsh, be loved or grounded or anchored. Everyone talks, oh, a safe space. Your safe space should be home as a kid. Just my opinion. You should feel safe at home. And I think, everyone just spoils their kids, buys them everything. You're not doing them a service by doing that. And you're skewing their vision of scarcity, like, oh, and it's always going to be there. It's always, because it's always there. It's always going to be there, whether I'm good, bad, if I fail out of class, if I skip school, if I do whatever, I'm still going to get it. It's still going to be there.
Right.
Now, here we go in their 20s. I deserve this. I deserve that. I'm not taking this job because of that. And now they're in their 30s. Now they're in their 40s. They have kids. What are they going to teach their kids? They have no foundation. So they're going to just, now we have a horrible cycle of shitty kids that now have their own shitty kids, and it's just bad stuff. And here we are with the masses of all these kids that are messed up. It's not even their fault because their parents were messed up from their
Right.
parents. And now we have generational issues. And I'm just trying to avoid it as best I can by teaching them simple little things and being grateful for little things and earn what you want. You want that? No problem. I'll teach you how to get that and you earn it. That's it.
Well, and you make a great point, and I'm going to kind of tie it together and bridge it together. I think when you look like at a scarcity versus a sufficient mindset, I think a lot of people believe deep down inside they don't deserve to be sufficient.
100%. That's another
So they
good point.
sabotage it. They
Good point.
sabotage their sufficiency. And it's kind of weird. It's like, well, how do you do that? Well,
Good point.
if you gave me $100, I may feel like I don't deserve this. I'm going to go spend it on, something.
Bullshit.
I'm going to just, not be responsible with it.
Mm-hmm.
Or I feel like, well, I could die tomorrow, which is true. We're not guaranteed tomorrow, and we can't take anything with us when we're here, when we leave. But while we're here, we have to realize, like, my apartment, my cat, your children, my car, your car. If you believe, it was given to us from God. And all we are stewards. Like, Cassie's not my cat. Cassie is not really my cat. God gave Cassie to me. I believe that because she's like my only soulmate, straight up. And I feel like it's my job to be a good steward of her, making sure she's fed, she has a roof over her head, she has love. And I think as parents, we do that because ultimately, like, I believe that we're not like, my mom is my mom, my dad is my dad. But at the end of the day, I was created by God. My parents were the vehicle to my creation. Like with you, like, your mom and dad, they were the vehicle to creating you. And that if you believe that, or if you're a believer out there or don't believe, I mean, we are, with Ash Wednesday being yesterday and Lent now starting, and I believe, I don't know if you said this, someone said this to me, might have been you, as we approach the Easter season, it's a time for renewal. Did you say that to me?
Definitely not.
Okay. Well, and it was a great point, because whether you believe or not, whether you're a believer or not, it's just a chance to like renew. I mean, why is Easter in the spring for? Spring is usually a time when the flowers blossom,
Yeah.
new trees on the leaves.
New
So when
life.
you really, right, and and when you believe that Christ died on the cross for our sins, then it's like, yeah, you become a new person. And I also want to read something to you from the book of Deuteronomy. It's one of my favorite verses. 18. It's the Lord your God, for it's he who gave you the ability to produce wealth and so confirms his covenant, which he swore to your ancestors as it is today. So that's something you can take with you to say, hey, you know what? Like, I was not meant to have a scarcity mindset because you know what? If you have a little or you have a lot, that's sufficiency. And I'm going to ask that question to you now, Greg. What does sufficiency mean to you? What does scarcity mean to you?
So now, being the age I am, old, with kids and all of that, they definitely mean different than when I was younger and throughout my years growing up. But the scarcity isn't necessarily a negative like it might have been when I was younger. It's just more of a way to calm down and reevaluate because there isn't the sufficient or abundance. And if that makes sense.
Of
And
course.
it's not a panic, oh my God moment. What am I going to do? Let me go to the last resort and do bad things to get something. No, that's not that mindset anymore. Sufficient now is means a lot more because I don't need as much as I thought I did back in the day to be happy.
Right.
Obviously, I want to make a lot of money and all that, but it's not the end all be all. It's not my purpose. I just want to be happy and comfortable with the people in my lives and my daughters and have enough to always give them what they need. Not necessarily want, like we said, but to be able to provide without worrying at all. It's there. That's sufficient to me. Not, oh, I have 5 houses, I have 12 cars, I have 4 motorcycles, which was my mentality in college and growing up where I did, after college, that whole when we're in the city, you see certain things, $50 million apartment. That doesn't mean anything to me anymore. It means nothing to me. I just I want to be happy with my people and not need for anything. That's what sufficient or abundance means to me now. What about you?
I am along those lines too. I like nice things because I work my rear end off for it,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't need,
Yeah.
and we both have friends that have a lot of affluency
Oh yeah.
and the stress that they go under every day. No thanks. All I'm looking for is I want a nice townhome.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely I'm thinking about this more and more. I think as I get older, I want to start spending my summers, especially the month of August. I want to spend in Saratoga. I love Saratoga. Like maybe, see if I might spend a month in New York starting maybe next year and 2 years from now, if I can. I don't need a
It's a great
lot like
idea.
you.
It's a great
I
goal.
just I want to be happy, and happiness to me is it goes back to being grateful.
Yeah.
I don't want to be in any debt. I want to save money. I'm a planner now as I become more of an entrepreneur in the mindset where like I plan things out, like with investments, insurance, and savings, and whatnot. I try to be more pragmatic in my approach. I don't want to work to live or live. I don't know how that goes. Live
Yeah.
to work to live, whatever it is. I mean, I do, but I don't. I don't need a lot of money. If
Mm-hmm.
I've got a roof over my head, and I was trying to find this another Bible verse from the book of Timothy, but I'm going to paraphrase it. If you have enough food and you haven't enough clothing, be thankful.
Yeah.
Because as you mentioned it earlier, California, even the wildfires that hit Carolina, there's a guy I know. He's online. If you're hearing this, he was part of a tag team called the Nasty Boys. His name's Brian Knobs. He's in the hospital right now. He lost his home. He might have to get his foot amputated because he's diabetic. There's a GoFundMe page. I don't know it, but if you just go into GoFundMe, it's there. He had everything and he lost it all. One natural disaster So when we look at things, if we have our health, we get out of bed every morning, let us be grateful. That's sufficiency to me. I've got my friends who I love dearly, and you're
Mm-hmm.
obviously you and everyone else, my family. I've got, a good network. I never go without. I always find a way, especially when you're moving, as I'm moving, switching locations. The money you had accumulated now goes, you got to pay for this, pay for that, but it's only short term,
Yep.
right? So it's only short term. It'll be back. I have a good business, So I think
Mm-hmm.
if you're able to put things into perspective, but I also think if you live a certain lifestyle, if you give, I give to my church. I try to give to people. We don't give enough as human beings. I think whatever you give, you get back tenfold. It could be $5, it could be a penny, or it could be just maybe you donate your time to the Humane Society, or maybe you, I don't know, go to a homeless, whatever it is
Mm-hmm.
that's germane to you and what you like to do. The more you give back, the more you give, the more you get back, because we weren't meant to have sufficiency for just us. It's like, what good is it if I can't A, share it with others, but B, help others? If I could help people financially, I would. I
Yeah.
just can't, but I help in other ways.
Yeah.
That's
And I think true giving back is the key, not let me do this to get clout or let me do this
right.
to get views, which unfortunately happens most of the time. People just
Right.
doing that to say they did it. It's the people that do it quietly that don't say anything about it that I respect.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Don't let your left hand tell your right hand what you're doing. Of course, I'm
Hmm.
paraphrasing. Give your gifts in private. Like,
Yeah.
I'll go back to Trump. Trump has helped so many people that you'll never hear about until he dies, because that old school wealthy mindset, just like George Steinbrenner, him and Trump actually started the Silver Shield Foundation in New York. If I'm wrong, correct me, but they were where a cop, they would lose their if they lost their life in the line of duty, they would like pay for college for their kids. But they don't do things for recognition. That all came out when Steinbrenner passed away. So like you said, it's a great point. Greg, I'm going to ask you to throw another question at you here as
Hmm.
we get towards the end. Um, you got somebody who's in the scarcity mindset. I never have enough money. I never have enough food. I never have enough. I never have enough. I never have enough. How do you quell someone's fears and help them shift their mindset from that I never have enough to I have an abundance? What tips, even if it's one or two, how can you help someone shift their mindset into scarcity to abundance or sufficiency?
So the switch in the brain for finance is a lot harder than other things because people really get emotional, obviously, when it comes to finances. So it's, oh, I never have enough. And enough of what? Like, I got to ask questions to get what the bottom line is. What do you never have enough of? Oh, I'll use the real estate as an example. There was an agent, she was 2 years into the business or on her second year, I don't know, and never got a listing, never got this, never got that. So when I took the office over, she was starting her year two with 1 year under her belt of nothing. So obviously that messes with the psyche. Oh, I can't, I'm not, I got to get out of this. I got to get a part-time job. I'm not getting any listings. I'm not getting any buyers, whatever. Okay. Well, you're definitely not going to get any with that mindset first and foremost. That's it. But to switch the mind is like, okay, well, what are you doing about it? And what are you not doing about it? And it was a complete, almost, I had to break her down to like nothing, dig down to the basement, like blow everything up in her brain to where they were crying in my office, like sobbing. And then here we go, like that I like, because we're at rock bottom now. Now we can build from there. Okay. Tomorrow's a new day, right? She's like, yeah. I'm like, okay, come in and let's start by doing this. Start by doing this. Add this on. Go shadow that person. Do some open houses for some other people. Go do this. Go do that. Change your language when you speak to people. Oh, I'm new in the business. No, you're not. You're not new. And start the way you project yourself. And then slowly, other agents, friends of hers and others that weren't friends of her would be like, what did you say to her? I'm like, what are you talking about? And they're like, she just carries herself different, even though she still didn't have anything yet. There was a presence about her. She was started talking about real estate more and confidence. I had to break her down to where she was hysterical to rebuild that confidence. Fast forward, what, 4 years now? I think she's one of the top people in the office. Go figure. And everyone wrote her off like she won't make it another year in the business. She wrote herself off. It's the same mindset of the scarcity.
Uh-oh. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Your video went bye-bye.
Perfect. I don't know why.
There you go. Hold on.
I don't know
We got
what the
Mike
heck
back.
happened.
Hold on. I don't know where Mike went.
Hey!
There we go. There's Mike. So it's the same with the scarcity mindset. What do you want? I want to do deals. That's a generic stroke. What do you want? Do you want one deal this year? Do you want 3 deals this year? And we work backwards from that. Okay. I want to do 4 deals a year. Okay. What is that? 1 a quarter. Let's just call it whatever. 4. So now we break the quarters down. Okay, you have 3 months to get one thing. So you work your ass off for 3 months getting one. Then you use that one. Once you get it for leverage, you can get 2 a lot quicker in that 3-month span. And then you just shorten the time frame. And now she's crushing it. It's the same mindset. You got to get them out of it, but it's probably going to get worse before it gets better, because they have to find their why and what it is, why they're in that mindset. Because it's very easy, especially with finances. People don't have enough money to pay things. I get it. We've all been there. And if you allow it to consume you, it will consume you. And it's like quicksand, and you won't ever get out of it. You have to have a plan. You have to just step by step. I mean, you and I have had credit where, I don't know, it's probably in the 300s at some point in our life. And now our credit's a lot better, but that takes time. And little by little, small bites, and there you go.
That's great. And you made
But
it
if you
great.
defeat yourself, you'll never get it. You're your own worst enemy in this.
Yeah, and along that plan, you got to have a mentor. I think people need to find someone that they gravitate towards, because you mentored this agent to now where they're producing now top in the office. I think you got to find yourself a mentor. You got to find someone that you can connect with and relate to. Not everyone's going to relate to you. No one's going to relate to me, but
definitely
everyone's got their flavor. You need to find someone, a family member, someone that you know, find a mentor, or find someone that you can pattern yourself after in a good way.
Then there are people out there. You got to look for it, though.
You got to look for it.
And not everything's free. Usually you have to pay for it.
Right.
There's a lot of top coaches out there in whatever industry you're in. Oh, they're so expensive. Yeah, they're expensive for a reason. Some of them are good and worth it. Others are just making their money, the revolving door, churn and burn, whatever. I'm not talking about those. But the real good ones are exactly that.
Sure.
And probably worth every penny. When you're in real estate, or like we're 1099, you own a business. Last time I checked, you have to spend money to make money. What do you think? You just open a store? How do you open a store? You got to get a lease, got to get furniture, carpet, paint. Where do you think these expenses are? You got to spend all that money. You got to buy inventory if you're doing something like that. All that costs money. You're in the hole. That's why they say it takes at least 2 years to break even. People think it's like, oh, I'm going to open a store and make $1 million. Okay. You could, but the odds of that are not realistic. It takes time. And if you do it, great. Be smart with that. But it takes a long time. And everyone now is instant. Oh, look, I did this. Or, oh, look, I did that. Like, okay, that's fine.
Yeah. And to reference, you had a good role model when it came to saving money.
Right. And I didn't listen. It took me a long time. You know that.
Exactly.
I grew up like that and I didn't do it.
Right. So you have to be ready. You have to find a mentor. You have to start journaling, make that plan. You have to tell yourself that you deserve it, or some type of affirmation to where the saboteur, as you like to say, doesn't come in and sabotage you from getting out of that scarcity mindset. Because if you're used to eating tuna fish every day and then you have a steak, you're like, whoa, what is this? So it's like, now once you start saving money, you start seeing like, oh, my credit cards are coming down. This is coming down. That's coming down. So once things start to change,
in a good way, or could be.
And it takes time. You have to be patient. Rome wasn't built overnight. Getting out of a scarcity mindset, it may take 3 years. It may take 4 years. I'm on a 4-year plan.
It could take a fucking decade.
But you will get out of it, and you have to remind yourself, because I've been in situations, and I'm going to put my final bow on this episode. I've been in a mindset to where, oh, I'm never going to get out of this. I'm not, and it's okay to acknowledge that, but you have to snap out of it. You have to absorb that feeling and then let it go. You will get out of it. Have the proper weapons to fight the battles. I say it every episode, whether it's something you believe in, whether it's, a financial trick, whether it's an affirmation, whether it's whatever it is, you got to have the right weapons to fight the battle. Because if you don't, you'll always stay in that scarcity mindset. And I'll tell my family, oh, I got a new car. Oh, what'd you get? Oh, you really needed that? I'm like, yeah, I did actually. I did, because I deserve it. And I'm not trying to be cocky or
Nothing
anything
wrong
like
with
that.
I hear
But
you.
I feel like if I'm going to put the work in, you're not paying for it. It's on me. I've been on my own now for 25, almost 30
You're a
years.
big boy. You can do what
If
you want.
I want that car, I'm going to get that car. And, obviously I'm pragmatic in what if this happens? What if that happens? But you don't want to live in a what if mindset. But just know and believe, as you always say, everything will always work out.
Yeah. Yeah. And even though you're 100% right, and going back to the stupid envelope system, some people don't have enough money to pay their bills or whatever. Just sock away $10 cash, $20 in an envelope. But the discipline is just don't take it out. Every paycheck, just put $20 in. And to have one less coffee or whatever bullshit thing someone gets that you can kind of, if you wrote down your spending through the week, there's got to be something in there that you can go without that week. I don't care if it's a Starbucks. That's $5. I'm rounding up, down, $5. If you do that every week for a month, that's what, 4 weeks in a month? It's $20. Doesn't sound like much, but if you start socking away its cash, put it in your safe or put it wherever, next thing you know, you forget about it, and now you have a couple $100 in there to do something or whatever.
Right.
And as you get out of your debt or pay off things, you can do it on a larger scale now. You can start investing. You don't need a lot to start an investment account, and just let the money sit there, park it, don't look at it, and let it start compounding itself. The key is just not to tap into it for a while. Because compounding only gets better, obviously, as it gets older. Let it work for you.
And again, I'll just reiterate, having that discipline.
They should be teaching this in schools. They should teach this in schools, in my opinion. In elementary school, they should teach this.
Well, Greg, thank God we have common sense in the world, because before that, they were more about involved with gender mutilation and figuring out if there's how many sexes there are. I am so glad that there's only a male and a female, because I get overwhelmed if I have I can't go to Baskin Robbins because there's so many different flavors. Now, imagine if there were 9 different sexes. Oh yeah, I went out with this type of sex or this type of sex. Thank God we're just back to man and woman, because I get confused quickly.
That whole area is a mess. They've let it go far, and now it's a mess. I don't know.
Well, Greggy T, all I know is that this is EmpowerMan, not Empower Sexes. So we know that it is an EmpowerMan podcast, but we have a lot of women out there.
We do.
And non-followers.
We do.
Please, to those non-followers, start following. We got so much good stuff coming down the pike. Give us a like on Instagram. Give us a like on YouTube. We actually have a Facebook page. I have not been keeping up with it, but that's all right, because without Facebook page, we wouldn't be able to produce Opus Clips. Shout out to Opus Clips. So these are available on Spotify. We're on iHeartRadio. We're on iTunes,
YouTube,
Apple Podcasts, YouTube. I only put Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube because I don't know how many people listen to iHeartRadio, but we're on all major streaming platforms. Give us your feedback. We welcome feedback. I do, because I realize I'm not going to always say the right thing. So if there's something out there that bothers you, or you want to compliment me on the fact that I have no gray hair. Yep.
I got plenty for both of us.
I went white in my beard at 29. And, at that time, I was just starting to discover my confidence. And then once I hit, and you were there for that.
Yep.
And then once 29 hit, I was off and running, and that is another conversation for another time, another
Yeah.
lifetime ago. And it feels like, and I'm just going to end on this. Life is so short. Life goes by so quick. If there's someone out there that you love, tell them, because we
Yeah.
are not guaranteed tomorrow. If there's something
No.
you want to do, that's, like you want to go skydiving, you want to do something crazy, obviously, take a
I
calculated
can't make
risk.
the weight. I want to go skydiving. I can't make the weight.
Greg, you've got time.
Help me, people out there. Come on. Give me a bigger shoot. I don't know. Do something.
If any one of our listeners have any advice for Greggy
Yeah.
T, you can reach out to him via the Instagram
Yeah.
DM,
Just hit us up.
or you could, if you could read more on his bio at our webpage, EmpowerManPodcast.com.
I got a nice topic for next time. It'll be, I don't want to say controversial, but it'll rub some people the wrong way. I want to thank my boy Sonny for sending me this clip, which maybe we'll try to figure out how to share to give the story the conversation some context. But it has to do with dating and respecting a man when you're a woman in this world nowadays, and it'll go down that path. So I'm sure we're gonna get a lot of heat for that. Nothing new. It's all good.
Context.
Thank you, Sonny.
Sonny, thank you for the context and the controversy. Coming next,
My boy.
on the EmpowerMan podcast. And we're going to have some cool guests. Hopefully, they can get back to us at some point. We'll have some cool guests.
Yeah, I got one of the ones just figuring out a date.
Nice.
To answer the question you asked earlier.
Oh, very nice.
Mm-hmm.
Very good.
Sprinkle some politics into this.
Yeah. And once we figure out how to do live streaming, I think that'd be kind of cool to do some live streaming. I mean, sure. Again, the fact that Opus Clips made this so easy, like you're asking me to figure out how to do live streaming. Good Lord. God have mercy on me if I can get that going. But I just want to give a shout out to everybody. Thank you for all those that have helped us to this point. There's been a lot of people we've met online, in person. Thank you for helping me personally grow and expanding my mind and educating me, because it is hard I mean, not that we're old, but we're, getting middle-aged now. And it's just like a lot of things just like I don't like certain things, but this is the way of the future. We're reaching more people.
Yeah.
Our Instagram page has grown incrementally over the last 60 days, and we want to keep growing. We want to be able to bring such great stuff to you guys. But I'm going to wrap it up by saying thank you. Listen weekly, listen every day. We've got clips dropping. We're going to bring back some of our old episodes. We have some merch coming down the road, and just hang out with us. Come along for this journey, because it truly is a journey. The destination's infinite.
And I'm going to drop a link for the Navy SEAL Danny Dietz Foundation. Love their work. Love what they're doing. I think they have their annual dinner coming up in a month or so. I'm not sure. And go check them out and support them as much as you can. It's for a great cause. So thank you, guys and girls.
Thank you very much to the Danny Dietz Foundation. I saw they starting to like some of our stuff. It's actually really cool.
Yep.
So
go support them.
And that's it. And I'm going to say this. I got 4 years. Pam Bondi will be on this show.
Wow. Okay.
Even if she just says hello.
We'll see who we can get on. I got some ideas. We shall see.
I just think I was so close to Tulsi Gabbard, and I froze, and I'll never forgive myself.
Horrible.
I should have gave her a business card. Anyway, thank you, everybody, from the free state of Florida. Thank you, the sanctimonious. He's not the sanctimonious. Ronnie D. Not the sanctimonious anymore. Ronnie D. I would love to have him on too. He is the man. From the free state of Florida in 75-degree weather. God bless. Thank you all for listening. We'll see you soon.
Stay safe out there, everybody. Thank you.